Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Keep This in Mind, brought to you by SpectHealth.com. It is Monday, and it is 24 hours away from the launch of the book, Old Dog's New Tricks version 2.0. I am super stoked that this is getting ready to launch. Remember, tomorrow we will be here launching the book. So I want you to tune in, set your calendar, set your watch, set your alarm, whatever you need to do to set it for 8:30 tomorrow morning. I will have a special guest on, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But first, you're probably wondering, what does Dave mean by you'll shoot your eye out? Well, let me remove the glasses. As you can tell, I have a little bit of a shiner over here. Let me tell you the story. If you don't follow me on social media, I was changing out the propane tank on my grill, really trying to get things ready because we had some people coming over Friday night, and I had it sitting in the front seat, in front of the front seat of my vehicle. I had the door open. I pulled the propane tank out. I connect it. I turn to do something else, and this catches the corner of the door. Now, that could be really bad. An inch this way, an inch that way, and we're talking about major issues. But I'm super blessed because all I have is a little bit of an embarrassing shiner, this little cut that didn't bleed very much. But I got to thinking about it. Every time, one of the interesting things about injuries on your face is that you don't see it. You're too busy looking out that way, and people can see it, and they're like, I wonder what happened to him. And I made some jokes about Tina backhanding me for refusing to do something and such, because, that's what we do, right? We make jokes. But there are some really valuable lessons that can be learned from this. And I took away some things, you try to find a life lesson in everything that happens in over the course of a day or in your life, good or bad. And there's a few things that I've learned, and it's funny how some of the people I follow were really talking about this recently. Here's one of my first lessons. Becoming so focused on your goal that you miss the things in your peripheral vision, both good and bad. I was so focused at getting that task accomplished so that I could move on to the next task that I didn't see the door in my peripheral vision, which led to me slamming the side of my head into it. But how many times do we get so focused on the next thing that we've got to get over the finish line that we forget those that are around us, and we don't pay attention, and we miss some signals within our own family or within our own coworkers, or how many times do we get so consumed with what we're trying to do that we miss an opportunity? It's not just about the injury that you can cause to yourself. It's about the damage you can cause to your relationship, or it's about the frustration you can cause to other people because you steamroll over them because you're trying to get to where your goal is. So that's the first thing I learned. The second thing I learned was there's a difference between a sense of urgency and senseless urgency. A sense of urgency and senseless urgency. We all need to have a sense of urgency on the things that we're trying to accomplish. We need to set deadlines, and we need to push to the goal. We don't want to flounder, because if we don't have a deadline, chances are we'll procrastinate. But senseless urgency is when we're running around like a chicken with its head cut off simply for the sake of getting it done. How many of you have found yourself just really going 90 to nothing and getting nowhere because you're just going? That is senseless urgency. Determined steps, that's a sense of urgency. And I had senseless urgency Friday because I was just they weren't coming over for a couple hours, but I wanted to get it done so I could move on to the next thing, And it was senseless urgency. Which leads me to point 3. Decisions have consequences. Many times we think that what we do or the actions we take only affect us. But the truth of the matter is that decisions we make have consequences, both good and bad. And a lot of times the decisions we make show up where we can't see them. I remember one of my health coaches, I don't believe they coined the phrase, but they used to say all the time, what you eat in private, you wear in public. And truly, that's a decision's consequence. It may not show up the first time. It may not show up, the first 4 times. But over time, what you eat in private shows up in public. The decision, the senseless urgency that I showed is showing up and will stay here. More times than not, the consequences last so much longer than the decision. I made a decision in just an instant, but this black eye is going to stick with me for a couple of weeks for sure. And I'm going to have to tell the story over and over again, which is a positive consequence because I can then share what I've learned and maybe help someone else avoid the same mistakes. So, becoming so focused, you'll miss things in your peripheral. Sense of urgency versus senseless urgency. And decisions have consequences. If you can take those away and that you can avoid the pain that I've suffered and the embarrassment that I have suffered as a result, then I've been able to use my experience to help somebody else. And isn't that what we're all here to do, is to take what we've learned, pass the lessons on to other folks so that they can live a better life as well. Now, before we get going, I want to encourage you to tune in again tomorrow, 8:30. We are going to launch the book, Old Dogs, New Tricks, version 2.0. It's going to be available on Amazon, and I'm working very diligently for some other outlets too. But I'm super, super excited for the book. It has been a laborious thing. It is, when people tell you that writing a book is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, I didn't believe them because I wrote for a living for the longest time. But can I tell you, all of the things that are required and the level of pressure to make sure that what you're writing is of benefit. I can write all day long about my experiences, but if they don't help anybody, if it's just talking about me, that's no good. But if I use the same stories captured in a way that helps somebody move the needle in their own life and their own leadership, then I've done my job. And that is the goal of Old Dogs, New Tricks. We're going to get into it real in depth. My friend Tom Hamill, the author of The Life You're Meant to Lead, Amazon best-selling book, will be on the show tomorrow. He wrote the foreword to my book, and he and I are going to really dive deep into what some of the chapters are about. Why did I write the book? What can the reader expect? That way you can make an informed decision. If this book is for you or for somebody you love, you'll be able to know without a shadow of a doubt before you hit that purchase button that it's worth your while. So again, let me recap. Show up tomorrow. Be aware. Don't be so focused on your goal that you miss the things in your peripheral vision. Have a sense of urgency, not senseless urgency. And remember, your decisions have consequences. Sometimes you'll see them, and sometimes only other people can see those consequences. Have a great day. See you back here tomorrow. God bless.